Hello from Mindset Daily, wishing you a day full of health, peace, and happiness. Thank you for watching the Mindset Daily channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support us. Thank you so much.
Have you ever noticed the power of silence? Why does it shake people more than words ever could? And what happens when silence becomes your greatest weapon? Not the silence of fear or surrender, but the silence born from strength, when you know who you are and no longer feel the need to prove it. Especially when facing people who don't respect you. Even within your own family, silence can become your strongest defense. When people try to tear you down with words, with attitude, or with disregard, they expect a reaction. They want you to break, lash out, or fall apart so they can justify their treatment of you. But when you refuse to give them that reaction, when you remain calm and let your silence speak, it unsettles them more than words ever could. The Bible says, "Even a fool is thought wise if he keeps silent." Why? Because silence reveals control. It shows restraint, not weakness, but maturity. It comes from knowing deep in your soul that your identity is not defined by who accepts you, but by the one who created you. And when you know who you belong to, you don't have to fight for a seat at someone else's table. You don't have to beg for respect from family, parents, or siblings. If they cannot see your value, that is not your burden to carry. The truth is, some of life's deepest pain doesn't come from strangers. It comes from those closest to you. It's one thing to be disrespected by the world, but when it's your own family, it cuts differently. It feels personal. It feels like betrayal. And everything in you wants to shout, "Don't you see what I've done? Don't you see how I tried?" But listen carefully. Your healing does not come from making them understand. It comes from surrendering the need to be understood. You must come to a place where you say, "God, I don't know why they treat me this way. I don't know why I'm not enough for them. But I trust that you see it all. You know my heart, and you will defend me in the silence." And He will. Oh, He will. God never misses a single tear. He sees when they belittle you, when they whisper behind your back, when they treat your presence as if it carries no weight. And He will deal with it, not on your timeline, but on His. Your part is to remain still and let Him be God. Because silence is not avoiding conflict, it's choosing peace. Silence means you've outgrown the need to be loud to be heard. It means your spirit is anchored, not shaken. You don't have to argue with someone committed to misunderstanding you. You don't need to explain yourself to someone who only listens to respond, not to understand. Sometimes the strongest response is none at all. And that's hard, I know. Especially when silence is mistaken for weakness. When they say, "You don't speak because you're afraid." No, you don't speak because you're free. There is a quiet power in walking away without slamming the door and no longer chasing closure, but letting God close the chapter for you. And He will. When you stop needing their respect to validate your worth, you begin to live with unshakable peace. A peace that surpasses understanding. A peace that confuses those who cannot grasp the strength it takes to stay calm when everything feels unfair. But here's the truth. It's in that silence that God speaks. It's in stillness that He whispers, "You are mine." You are not what they say. You are not their rejection. You are not defined by your family's failure to see your value. You are chosen. You are loved. I have set you apart. So don't let disrespect drag you into their storm. Don't let their chaos disturb your calm. Let them wonder why you're not reacting. Let them wonder why you're not pleading. You don't need to respond, because God is watching. And when He watches, He moves. He is the defender of the silent, the shield of the misunderstood, the voice for the voiceless. And if God is for you, who can be against you? Stay silent. Stay steady. Stay anchored. Because the one who truly matters hears everything unspoken and honors what you don't have to prove. And that is enough. Respect doesn't begin with others. It begins with you. It shows in how you carry yourself, how you protect your peace, and how you draw the line to say, "This is where I end, and you begin." That is how you teach people how to treat you. The hardest lines to draw are often with those closest to you, the ones who share your name, your story, even your blood. But hear this clearly. Family ties are no excuse for repeated disrespect. Love does not mean allowing others to wound you over and over. Love does not make you a doormat for everyone's feet. Real love includes boundaries. Without them, what remains is not love, it's fear, guilt, and obligation. At some point, you must stop asking, "Why do they keep doing this to me?" and start asking, why do I keep allowing it? When someone disrespects you once, it's on them. But when it continues without consequence, it becomes a pattern. It becomes permission. And God never called you to be anyone's punching bag. He did not design you to live in constant tension, tiptoeing around others just to keep a false peace. That's not peace. That's survival. That's bondage. And God came to set you free. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can say is no. No to the drama. No to manipulation. No to emotional blackmail. No to guilt dressed up as family values. And yes, I know what you're thinking. If I pull away, they'll say I'm selfish. They'll say I've changed. Good. Let them talk. Because you have changed. You've grown. You've come too far to shrink back into places you've outgrown. Boundaries don't make you bitter. They keep you from becoming bitter. They don't mean you hate someone. They mean you love yourself enough to protect your mental, emotional, and spiritual health. When you draw those lines, not everyone will like it. But their discomfort doesn't mean you're wrong. Sometimes it's the clearest sign you're finally doing what's right. God never asks you to sacrifice your sanity for someone else's comfort. Yes, He calls us to forgive, to love, to extend grace. But forgiveness does not mean access. Grace does not mean allowing people to walk all over you. And love, real love, speaks the truth. Real love says, I can't let you keep hurting me just because we share a last name. Real love doesn't hide behind silence. It speaks with clarity, with kindness, and with firmness. Sometimes that truth sounds like, I love you, but I can't continue like this. Setting boundaries is not cruelty, it's clarity. It's saying, this is what I need to feel safe. This is what I need to be whole. This is what I need to walk in peace. And when someone truly loves you, they will not see it as rejection, they will respect it. But if they don't respect it, if they become angry when you draw the line, it simply shows they were benefiting from your lack of one. Some of you have spent years bending over backward for people determined to disrespect you. You do everything they ask. You silence your own voice. You shrink yourself. And still it's never enough. Let me release you from that burden. No matter how much you do, you will never be enough for someone who refuses to see your value. That is not your failure. It's their blindness. And your job is not to fix their vision. Your responsibility is to protect your soul. At some point, you must stop chasing approval and start honoring your own worth. There comes a moment when you must say, I will no longer participate in my own disrespect. That's not pride, it's stewardship. It's honoring what God placed inside you. It's walking in dignity. And when you begin to set those boundaries, when you stop apologizing for requiring respect, you discover a new freedom, a peace you never thought possible. Because when you respect yourself, you naturally attract relationships that mirror that respect. People who honor you. People who truly listen when you speak. People who don't make you feel like you're too much or not enough. People who love you for who you are, not for who they want you to be. Yes, it may mean losing some people. It may mean your circle gets smaller. But peace is better than popularity. Dignity is better than being liked. And whatever you lose in obedience, God will replace with something greater in purpose. So draw the line. Hold the line, not in anger, but in love. Not from spite, but from strength. Never feel guilty for respecting yourself enough to walk away from what breaks you. That's enough. Love is one of the greatest gifts we can give and receive, but love is not a license for anyone to mistreat you. Sometimes the people closest to us, even family, may love us in their own way, but fail to respect us as we deserve. That cuts deep, because love is meant to build up, not tear down. But here's a truth that can set you free. You can love people without allowing them to break you. You don't have to stay in a place of constant hurt just because you love them. Sometimes love means stepping back, protecting your heart, even if it means loving from a distance. It's hard, especially with family, when you've been taught to stand by your blood no matter what. But standing by doesn't mean standing for everything. It doesn't mean ignoring disrespect or swallowing pain. You can care deeply about someone and still say, I can't keep letting you treat me this way. Loving someone doesn't mean giving them a free pass to trample on your dignity. Love that destroys you is not love, it's a chain. And God did not call you to be bound by someone else's inability to respect you. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself and for them is to love from a distance. To say, I'm stepping back so I can heal, so I can grow, so I can be the person God created me to be. Loving from a distance doesn't mean you've stopped caring. It means you're protecting your heart. Because the truth is, you cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give love freely if your soul is constantly drained by disrespect and hurt. Understand this. Protective love is not selfish. It is survival. It is wisdom. When someone refuses to respect you, no matter how much love you give, you will only end up broken again and again. That is not God's will for you. He wants you whole, healed, and strong. He wants you to walk in peace, even if that means walking away from toxic relationships. Loving from a distance also creates space for change. Sometimes people need to face the consequences of their actions before they realize the damage they've caused. By removing yourself from constant harm, you are not punishing them. You are giving them the chance to reflect, repent, and grow. But don't hold your breath waiting for change. Some people will not change, and that is their choice, not yours. Your responsibility is to love wisely, to love with boundaries, to love with courage. Because if you don't protect your heart, you risk losing the very thing love was meant to preserve, your peace. And peace is priceless. Peace is a gift from God, and no one has the right to steal it from you. There is a clear difference between love that saves and love that enslaves. Love that saves builds you up, encourages you, and lifts your spirit. Love that enslaves drains you, diminishes you, and makes you question your worth. If the love you receive leaves you feeling small, invisible, or disrespected, it's time to reevaluate. And sometimes reevaluating means creating distance, even when it hurts. You don't need to justify your decision to protect yourself. You don't owe anyone an explanation for preserving your peace. Loving from a distance doesn't mean closing the door forever. It means stepping back until respect can be restored. And if that day never comes, it is not your failure. It is a lesson learned, wisdom gained. Remember, God's love for you is perfect and unchanging. He loves you fiercely, tenderly, and with a respect that never wavers. He calls you to love others, but never at the expense of your well-being. You are worthy of respect. You are worthy of love that honors you. You are worthy of relationships that bring peace, not pain. So love them with all your heart, but don't let them break you. Protect your spirit with courage and grace. Walk in freedom, knowing that sometimes loving from a distance is the greatest act of love for yourself and for those who have yet to respect the gift of your presence. That is enough. Yet one of the hardest things to do when faced with disrespect, especially from those closest to us, is to forgive. Forgiveness is never easy. It's not a quick fix or a simple choice. It is a process, a journey. And at times, it feels like a mountain too steep to climb. But forgiveness is not pretending the hurt never happened or forgetting what was done. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the prison of bitterness and anger. It's about choosing peace over pain, healing over hatred. You may ask, how can I forgive when they never apologize? How can I forgive when they keep hurting me? Those are real questions. But the answer is this: you cannot wait for an apology that may never come. Forgiveness is not based on someone else's actions. It is your decision. It's your way of saying, I refuse to be held hostage by resentment. I choose to release this burden so I can move forward. Holding on to anger only chains you to the past. It keeps the wounds fresh and the pain alive. But forgiveness breaks those chains. Now, forgiveness does not mean excusing people or pretending everything is fine. It doesn't erase justice, nor does it require you to trust again right away. Forgiveness is for the sake of your own soul. It's the gift you give yourself so you no longer carry the crushing weight of hate and hurt. Think of Jesus on the cross. He forgave those who wronged him even as he suffered. He didn't wait for them to say sorry or make things right. He chose forgiveness, knowing that bitterness would only trap him in pain. And if he could forgive in the place of deepest suffering, surely we can find the strength to forgive those who disrespect us, even within our families. Forgiveness does not erase the lesson. In fact, it often teaches the deepest truths about who we are and who we want to become. It teaches humility, patience, and grace. It reminds us to rely on God's justice rather than our own desire for revenge. It anchors us in the truth that God sees every insult, every injustice, and that one day He will make all things right. As difficult as forgiveness may be, it brings freedom. It brings peace. When you forgive, you stop fueling the fire of anger within. You stop giving power to those who hurt you. You reclaim your life, your joy, your strength. Forgiveness lets you breathe again. It allows you to live again, to walk in the light instead of being chained to the darkness of resentment. But forgiveness is a choice, not a feeling. You may not feel ready, and that's okay. Forgiveness often comes one step at a time, one day at a time. Some mornings you will have to choose it all over again. Some days it will be harder than others. But keep choosing it, because forgiveness is the bridge from pain to peace. And remember, forgiveness doesn't mean opening yourself to more harm. You can forgive and still protect yourself. You can forgive and still keep strong boundaries. Forgiveness and protection can coexist. Forgiveness frees your heart. Boundaries guard your heart. When you forgive those who disrespect you, you're not only releasing them, you're releasing yourself. You break the cycle of hurt. You open the door to healing. And in that healing you discover a strength far greater than anger could ever give. So I urge you, don't carry the weight of bitterness any longer. Choose forgiveness, not for them, but for you. Choose peace. Choose freedom. Choose to let go of what holds you back. That is enough. One of the hardest lessons to learn when dealing with people who don't respect you, especially those closest to you, is the power of silence. We live in a world that tells us to speak up, to defend ourselves, to react quickly when wronged. There is truth in standing up for yourself, but there is also profound strength in knowing when to remain silent. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not surrender. Silence can be a fortress, a place of peace, a shield for your heart and mind against needless battles. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct may be to respond, with anger, sharp words, or by trying to justify yourself. But reacting often gives power to the disrespect. It fuels the fire. It drags you into conflicts where both sides walk away wounded. Silence, however, can be the greatest response. It shows self-control. It shows wisdom. It quietly declares, I will not let your words or actions disturb my peace. There is deep biblical truth in the power of silence. Look at the life of Jesus. When he was falsely accused, mocked, and insulted, he did not lash out. He stood silent before his accusers. That silence was a testimony to his strength, his trust in God, and his refusal to be pulled into empty arguments. He knew not every battle is worth fighting with words. When you choose silence in the face of disrespect, you deny others the satisfaction of seeing you unravel. You refuse to become a puppet, reacting on their terms. Instead, you take back control. You choose how to respond, not with anger, but with calm dignity. Silence becomes a powerful way of saying, I am better than this. I will not be dragged down. But silence doesn't mean ignoring injustice or pretending the pain isn't real. Silence is a strategic choice. It protects your spirit while you process, while you pray for wisdom, while you prepare a response that aligns with your integrity. Sometimes silence is the very space where healing begins. There is something sacred about silence. It gives you room to hear God, to listen to your own heart, to notice the quiet voice of truth that so often gets drowned out by conflict and noise. In silence, you discover clarity. You discover peace. You find the strength to move forward without bitterness. And remember, silence does not mean you are weak or that you don't care. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself, and even for others, is to step back from the fight. Stop engaging with disrespect and focus on your own healing. Holding your tongue doesn't deny your pain. It protects your heart. There's an old saying, silence is golden. But it's more than a saying, it's a spiritual principle. In silence, you safeguard your peace. In silence, you show that you will not be controlled by the chaos around you. In silence, you create space for God's presence to replace anger and hurt with his peace. And in time, those who disrespect you will notice your silence. Some may even respect it, recognizing the strength it takes not to engage in every argument. Others may feel confused or frustrated, but their confusion is not your responsibility. Your job is not to explain your silence or justify your peace. Your job is to live in it fully. Silence itself can be a testimony. It declares that you value peace more than approval. It says, I will not compromise my dignity just to win an argument. It sets a standard for how you expect to be treated, not through endless words, but through action. So the next time someone disrespects you, even family, pause. Breathe deeply. Hold your peace and choose silence. Not because you are afraid, but because you are wise. Not because you don't care, but because you care deeply about the well-being of your soul. And if silence feels difficult at first, that's okay. Strength is built one moment at a time. Keep choosing peace over conflict. Protect your heart with quiet courage. Remember, sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. That's enough. There comes a moment when you must accept that not everyone in your life is meant to stay forever. This is especially hard when it's family, because society teaches us that family is forever and we should tolerate anything for the sake of blood. But respect is not optional. And when someone consistently disrespects you, even family, the most courageous act may be to walk away, to set yourself free from the chains of toxic relationships. Walking away doesn't mean you stop loving them. It means you love yourself enough to refuse ongoing harm. It means you recognize that your peace, your dignity, your mental and emotional health are worth protecting. Sometimes the greatest act of love, both for yourself and for them, is to say, I will not be part of this cycle anymore. This decision is never easy. It comes with pain, with guilt, and with fear. You may worry about what others will say. You may feel the pull of tradition, the weight of expectation. But God did not create you to be a doormat. He created you to walk in freedom, in dignity, and in joy. And if walking away is what it takes to preserve that, then that is what you must do. Walking away doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't mean burning bridges or shouting goodbyes. Sometimes it is quiet and calm, a gentle but firm step back. It's choosing distance over conflict, peace over chaos. It's realizing that some people will only respect you once you stop tolerating their disrespect. There is strength in knowing your worth. There is strength in protecting your heart. There is strength in saying no to those who tear you down. And that strength comes from God, who reminds you that you are precious, valuable, and worthy of respect in every relationship. When you walk away from disrespect, you create space for healing. You create space for new relationships that honor you. You also create space for your own growth and peace. Sometimes people only learn to respect us when we show them we will not accept anything less. Sometimes boundaries must be firm for respect to take root. Walking away is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of a new chapter, one where you reclaim your power and your peace. It is a chance to surround yourself with people who lift you up instead of tearing you down. It is a chance to walk in the freedom God always intended for you. And yes, you may wonder if walking away means giving up on family, on reconciliation, on hope. It doesn't. It simply means you are choosing what is healthiest for you right now. It means placing your trust in God, for the future, for the healing of hearts, and for the things you cannot control. Sometimes walking away creates the space for healing to happen in its own time. So if you find yourself in a place where disrespect is constant, where love feels conditional, and where your soul is weary from trying to earn respect that never comes, hear this clearly. You have permission to walk away. Not because you don't care, but because you care deeply about your well-being. Not because you hate, but because you love yourself enough to say yes to peace. Walking away is not failure, it is faith. Faith in God's justice. Faith in His timing. Faith that He will bring healing and restoration when hearts are ready. It is the courage to choose yourself when no one else will. It is the strength to protect the sacredness of your own spirit. Remember, no one has the right to disrespect you, not even family. And you don't have to remain in a place where disrespect is the norm. You can walk away with dignity, with grace, and with hope. You can step into a future where respect and love coexist, where your heart is safe, and where your soul can finally breathe freely. That is enough. I wish you health, peace, and happiness. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Mindset Daily, for more messages of strength and encouragement.